Welcome to Storytime with Tallulah. Today's reading comes from r/EntitledParents. Our first story is titled, Entitled Mother Lets Her Kid Steal My Blind Cane. So, a bit of backstory. I am a 28-year-old woman who just recently went fully blind. When I was a teenager, I volunteered with my local youth group to help rebuild Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina. And while down there, I picked up a fungal parasite called histoplasmosis that over a decade migrated to my eyes and slowly caused blindness. I've been totally blind for about a year now, so I'm pretty new to it, but I digress. When I first went blind, I barely left the house and was afraid to go in public. I felt like everyone was staring at me, and in all honesty, I barely knew what I was doing. The transition had been difficult, and I didn't have any support group to teach me. One day, my husband asks if I can take an Uber down to the bank and deposit a rent check, and I reluctantly agree. While out, he messages again and reminds me that we're out of a few crucial groceries. There was a Walmart grocery literally across the street from the bank. So I figure everything in life is an experience and I'll have to learn how to shop alone eventually, so why not? Everything was fine at first, and I was only grabbing a few things, so I didn't need a cart. I was using my cane and what little echolocation skills I had at the time to get around, but was still bumping into things as we blind tend to do sometimes. My cane suddenly hit something a bit softer, and I figure maybe I had whacked someone's leg and apologized. Cue entitled kid and entitled mother. Me. Shoot, I'm sorry. Entitled mother.
Hey, you just hit my son.
Me. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I didn't see him there. Entitled mother begins yelling.
How could you not see him? He's clearly right here.
Now I'm fully blind and I don't wear sunglasses, mostly because I can't afford a good UV blocking pair, but also I'm not ever looking for pity or to play the part of a generic blind person. I just want to be treated like a normal person, but I do understand her confusion as blindness is a spectrum, so I tried to calmly explain. Ma'am, I'm blind. I can't see anything, let alone your son. That's why I have to use the cane, so I can get around with. She cuts me off.
If you're blind, why aren't you wearing big sunglasses?
Now, as a blind person, I get a lot of stupid questions, but I understand a lot of them are just people who don't know better, so I try to happily answer as many as I can. Me. Those are really expensive, around $200 for a good pair, and I really don't need any inside.
You're not blind, you're faking it.
Here is where my blood starts to boil. I can't think of any reason someone would want to pretend to be blind. It's an actual hell, and nothing pisses me off more than when someone calls me a liar when I'm not. Just as I'm about to respond, I feel a tug, and before I blink, I realize this little demon spawn has snatched my $100 cane from my hands. For those of you who don't understand, that's like if you are shopping and suddenly the power goes out and you can't see a single light. Without my cane, I can barely move at all without crashing into anything. My voice gets shaky as I begin to panic. Please, give that back. I really do need it.
No you don't, you liar. My son deserves to play with this more than you.
I hear her shuffle away and my expensive cane cracking into metal displays and such as they leave. I start crying and waving my arms in front of me to grab onto something, anything, and end up crashing and falling into a center aisle display, making a loud scene. Without fail, I somewhat curl into a ball and cry. I'm alone in public, in the dark, and I had no idea what to do. Suddenly, I feel a hand on my shoulder and a man's voice. We'll call him AG for Awesome Guy. Asks if I'm okay and to stay right here. I do, but begin to at least sit up and listen. This man must have been tall and built like a tank because his footsteps sounded like a giant and I felt a suction of wind when he took off. Maybe about 30 or 40 feet away, I hear this loud bellowing like an angry lion and a loud crash. Then before I knew it, the man is back and helping me to my feet. He takes my hand and puts my cane into my palm and helps me pick up the items I dropped when I fell into the display. Me wiping tears from my cheeks. Thank you so much. I didn't know how to handle that. Awesome Guy. Don't worry about it. Some people are just monsters. This guy restored my faith in humanity and even helped me finish shopping and helped me out of the store. As we're leaving, I can hear the family screeching of entitled mother, something about Awesome Guy grabbing the cane and pulling hard, flinging her little devil child into a shopping cart. I don't know if she was exaggerating or not, but it would explain the crash I heard. It's easy to feel alone in a world without sight, but even through the sheer terror of being stripped of my cane, at least I know now that there are people willing to stand up for me when I need it. Edit. Because of the sheer overwhelming amount of people asking, if you are blind, how are you typing? I'll first answer with my fingers. And secondly, I'm using a screen reader called Narrator that reads the screen. Wherever my cursor or finger is over the screen, it reads. When I type a letter, it reads. Guys, just like Google it or something. I'm glad that worked out for you. I'm sorry you had experienced that, and Karens tend to be these crazy evil creatures with little demon childs, like you said. But it's totally unacceptable what you went through. I'm sorry you had to, and I'm sorry people are insensitive and have these weird stereotypes about like, oh, if you don't have glasses, you're not blind, because that's complete crap. Anyways, I'm glad it worked out for you, and I hope you feel better, and that didn't traumatize you from going out into the world anymore. Our next story is titled, Entitled Mother Yells at Me for Infecting Her Family with Corona Music. Let me introduce you to a new Karen, the Indian Karen. A little longer hair tied into a ponytail and rolled into a bun that serves the function of hiding all of the 7 deadly sins. A voice shrill enough to make all the street cows turn their head to look at their mistress. A gold necklace to announce her dreaded arrival. One that I encountered. I don't know if anyone has read this article. Basically, it tells how some scientists converted coronavirus's famous spike protein into music. I have no idea if it's legit. I thought it's true. It's cool if someone was able to do it and thought I should share it, so I did. To Karen's son, a good person, good friend. He is happy that smart people are left in the world. The next morning, my mom calls me from the other room, and I pick up. This was the conversation in Punjabi. This is a rough translation. Me. Hi, Ma. Karen.
You mother effing sister effer son of a how dare you infect my family!
At this point, I just woke up and I'm still in the weird half-asleep phase, wondering to which sister I never had she was talking about. Mom.
Shut up, Karen! You don't dare speak to my son like that!
Karen.
I'll speak! Mom, shut up or I'm hanging up!
Me. What's going on? Who are you? Mom. I have Miss Karen on conference. Did you give her son coronavirus? What? No!
Don't you lie! I have seen the music you sent my son. It's coronavirus.
It took me a full minute to realize what she was talking about, and then it hit me. Have you even read the article?
Don't you talk back to your elders? You are acting pretty elderly now.
Those two argued for 15 plus minutes. They started yelling at each other about other things, that I'm a bad influence, Karen doesn't know how to talk to anyone, stuff like that. It's a translation of what scientists at MIT, I put the phone on speaker, opened the article, and started reading all the technical terms which her 5th dropout butt would not understand.
You are not making any sense. You are lying.
To my mother.
You thought him to lie? What kind of mother are you?
She finally breaks me. Apparently better than you. Did my friend show this to you? Or did you open his phone without him knowing again?
That is none of your business.
I cut the call and immediately call my friend. I tell him everything. He's mad. This was the 6th time this month she had gone through his phone. Her excuse being, I don't want any local harlot to corrupt his son. It is my duty to make his son marry a proper Sikh girl without any distraction. Wow. Well, I hope that doesn't happen again, and I'm sorry that she freaked out over your musical rendition of the coronavirus. Oh, that's ridiculous. Our next story is titled, Entitled Mother Tries to Get Me to Give My Easter Basket to Her Kids. I live in an apartment complex with my boyfriend. I work overnight, so usually I'm asleep during most of the day. Yesterday, my boyfriend went out and bought stuff to make up an Easter basket for me, something we did for each other last year, but hadn't really talked about doing this year because of the pandemic. He set the basket up and left it in the passenger seat of my car for me to find when I went to work. This morning, I got home around 7:30, and as I was walking through the parking lot, a couple of the neighbor kids were playing outside. I'm pretty sure they're brothers, as I always see them together, and I passed them to go upstairs while carrying my basket. The basket itself is a pink wicker basket. It had a small pink stuffed bunny and a giant lollipop set, a chocolate bunny, and plenty of colored eggs in it. I had just taken a melatonin and put my sleep mask on to try to go to bed when I hear a knock at my door. My boyfriend is fast asleep, so I figured I might as well look through the peephole to see if it was an Amazon delivery or something. I peek through and see my neighbor from over the stairs, so I open it up. The two boys from earlier were by her door watching our conversation. Entitled Mother:
My boys said you had an Easter basket.
Yeah.
Okay, so give it to them.
I'm sorry?
Give them the Easter basket. You're an adult. Why do you even have one?
I'm not gonna give your boys my Easter basket.
Well, why not? Do you hate Jesus or something?
I stood there for a second with a confused look on my face before she snapped,
Give them the basket already!
Look, I've lived here almost a year. I see your kids all the time and I've never really interacted with them, but they seem like fine kids. Even if that is true though, I don't have to give them anything, especially not something that was given to me as a gift. If they want Easter baskets and you want them to have Easter baskets, why don't you go buy the supplies and make them yourself?
Why should I have to do that when there's one already made up here?
B, because it isn't yours?
Well, I'm sure it'll get much better use if my boys have it rather than you. Hand it over, I'm going to call the police and tell them some girl from apartment number stole their basket.
You might think it'll get more usage from your boys than it would from me, but it's all sweets that I'm going to eat to keep me awake during my 12-hour shift tonight. The one I need to go to sleep before if you would leave me be. Also, I even still have the basket I got from him last year, and I'll let you in on a secret. It holds all my smashing cuddle time toys. Happy Easter! After that, I closed the door in her face. I could hear her through the door give off one of those partial groan, partial screams. And she actually called the police on speaker right outside my door. So I called the non-emergency line and said if a woman called about someone from address stealing her kid's Easter basket, that she was delusional, and told them what happened. Police still haven't shown up, and now it's time for me to snooze. Happy Easter, all! ETA. Hey all, I pretty much passed out after posting this and replying to one comment, but let me add a few things. I know my boyfriend shouldn't have gone to get the Easter basket during the pandemic. I've told him multiple times not to leave except for work and groceries. Both of us are essential employees, but no matter how many times I get onto him, he keeps going to the store for non-essentials. I have gotten onto him multiple times and he just doesn't listen to me. I did thank him for the basket and the thought behind it, but then got onto him for going out for it. Many of you are saying this isn't real, mostly because of the adult toys comment. After she said the "do you hate Jesus" comment, my brain was running through all the things I could say to get her to leave me be. And my smashing toys being in the basket from last year actually popped into my head. But I didn't feel like it would really say, "Oh, yep, I hate Jesus." So once she said that her boys would use it more than me, I was like, "Oh, thanks, brain," and said it. It's possible the police did show up after I fell asleep, but if so, I have no recollection of it. Melatonin knocks me out and it's hard to wake me up even without it, so if anyone would have answered the door, it would have been my boyfriend, who also used to be a police officer. Though I don't think they did show up because we got a notice saying that during the pandemic, the police would not be showing up on calls for things like petty theft, and it even had assault on the list, which blew my mind. To those of you saying I should have slammed the door in her face right after she asked, you're right. I wish I had, so I wouldn't have had to deal with such stupidity when I was so tired already. To those of you saying I shouldn't have opened the door regardless because of the pandemic, you're also right. The only reason I opened the door was because I recognized her as my neighbor and I know she's a single mother with 3 kids in her home. And to my knowledge, she isn't working at the moment, so I thought she was just coming to ask for something like milk or a couple eggs or something, which I would have probably given to her if that were the case. To those of you saying to report her to my apartment management, my boyfriend has been living in this complex for over 5 years and is very close with management. So if anyone would report anything he or I did, management would call him and ask, "Hey, what happened with so-and-so?" But we've reported our upstairs neighbor for things and nothing has been done about it. Those of you saying just to report it for a paper trail, I've lived in the apartment almost a year and haven't had an issue with the family until today. So I don't think much more will happen with her. Or at least I hope not. Her boys are in middle school, which starts at around 7-something in the morning here, so they're used to being awake as early as 7:30. It's possible they haven't stopped their school alarms and are still waking up early in the morning, and before the pandemic, I'd seen them playing in the parking lot as I got home from work multiple mornings. Nobody usually bothers them when they play, and when they see a car coming through the lot, they grab whatever they're playing with and move to the side for the car to get through. The boys seem to be very respectful, as every time I've been outside to clean out my car or just walk through the lot to get my mail, they step aside and stop playing so they don't hit anyone with their ball. Usually a football or basketball, some occasions a soccer ball. Now I'm at work, so I probably won't be interacting with this post much more tonight. I hope you all enjoy your Easter. To those who celebrate and to those who don't, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you still doubt the story, go ahead. I don't care. Just remember that you weren't there. Well, that's crazy. Yeah, neighbors can be absolute nightmares sometimes. I understand that very much. Anyways, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like the video, please consider liking the video. And if you like these types of videos, also please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell for notifications so you know when more videos come out. If you would also like to join the Discord, the link for that's in the description below. We have an amazing community. It's a lot of fun. A lot of good people there if you want to go meet them and hang out. And if you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias, those links are also in the description below as well. Again, thank you all for your continued support. Hope you're staying safe out there. And with that being said, we'll see you next time.